Hey folks, this is Ardwulf, and I'm coming to you with a quickie episode of Ardwulf Presents from Vanguard Saga of Heroes. Every time, of course, I say, oh, this will just be a quickie episode, it ends up being half an hour, so we'll see how long this lasts. There's a specific thing that I would like to show you. We have my character Menku here, who is a Wood Elf Bard. He is on the Isles of Kojan. This is actually the first time I've captured any Kojan on video for Ardwulf Presents. So instead of showing it off, which I might do anyway, but what I'm really here for, in this case today, these floating fortresses up here are the Arcs of Harmony. There's some quests that send you up there. Anyway, what I'd really like to show you is a UI mod called InfoMap Advanced. And you might notice from last time, if you watched the previous videos, I've got some of these extra little icons down by my mini-map down here, and those are related to InfoMap Advanced. And there's actually, you can get to the, there'll be a link to all of this in the notes below. You can get just the InfoMap Advanced, or you can get it bundled with 2 other UI mods, or you can get various, like, complete conversion UI mods, like Minimalist UI and Core UI, that also come with InfoMap Advanced and the other 2. But InfoMap Advanced is kind of the definitive UI mod for Vanguard for mapping. I'm going to pull up my my map, and you may not think that this looks all that different. These are the southern Isles of Kojan, but with these icons I can actually track a whole bunch of different things. This is like points of interest, like vendors and riftways. I'm not even sure what this button is. This is quest givers, or quest hubs, I should say. So you see, and I don't know what all this text means, to be completely honest. This will turn on the names, or toggle on and off the names of the chunks, which can be handy. And these 4 here toggle resource harvesting on and off. So this guy right here is cloth node. So we can see that there's like a cloth node spawn point right here where we are. And it'll show on my mini-map as well, which means that I can zoom. It looks like I can't zoom in and out using InfoMap Advanced. The maps are also just more detailed. So for instance, if I go up to Thestra and want to look here at New Targanor, which is like the big human city on Thestra, it's just kind of a blot on the normal default map, where this gives you a little bit more detail, and it's pretty handy. And this also shows the roads, which the default UI map does not. You can see, I think, a little bit of the scope of the world in Vanguard. It's just enormous, and this is just one continent. Even Kojan, this is a good 9, 10, 11 chunks right here of adventuring stuff, and then that's only like half of the Isles of Kojan. The way this is set up is that the Kojani humans and the Wood Elves and a couple other races start out down here in the southern parts of the island chain, and the orcs and goblins and maybe something else start up here in the northern part of the island chain. And they've got a big city up here called Martok. Our big city is called Tanvu, which is kind of a major hub. We can also, let's close that. We can also pull up a map of the riftways. It'll show us exactly where, and of course I have to be near a riftway to use it, but I can actually be near this riftway. And let's go to Tanvu. And I don't even have to click on the riftway. I'm just standing close enough to it. Good opportunity to show you how long the loading screens take. For some reason, and I don't really pretend to know why this is the case, but for some reason, whenever you teleport in Vanguard, you zoom into first-person perspective. I'm not really entirely sure why. At any rate, I want to go back to Jalen's Crossing because it's A, scenic, and B is where I'm actually adventuring. This character is a bard. I may have mentioned how awesome the Vanguard bard is in the past. He actually can, he gets a songbook and can compose his own songs, which is kind of awesome. This guy, did I get the boat on this dude? It looks like I did, just because I'm curious. Now, what I'm kind of trying to do with this particular character is these are kind of breadcrumb quests that the Rift Keepers hand out, and that's called the quote-unquote Golden Path. As close as you get to the EQ2 Golden Path, you just get these breadcrumb quests that will direct you to a level-appropriate area. I'm kind of sticking with Kojan with this character because Kojan only goes up to about level 20-25. And for me, I think I want to explore as much of this content as possible without running over to Kalia or wherever else. The level cap currently is 55, if I haven't mentioned that before. I'm going to rent me a Pegasus here. These are flying mounts which you can rent in Vanguard. I'm going to go to my mount panel. And where's the Pegasus? Put him in the flying mount slot and right-click on him. I've shot plenty of video of flying around in Vanguard, but not really a whole lot of video for Ardwulf Presents, so I might as well show this off. Because this is, I think, one of the more striking things to see in the whole zone. You've got the mountains in the background and the Arcs of Harmony out front. Will actually go up. A lot of times when you fly over on a flying mountain, you fly over a dungeony type area, you'll get dismounted, you'll get warned and then dismounted. That's not the case with the Arcs of Harmony. I'm not really entirely sure why. It might be because there are quests right down here in Jalen's Crossing that send you up here. There's also a gateway that sends you up here. Probably dating from before you can rent a flying mount. That was not something that was originally in the game. In fact, I think flying mounts... I'm not entirely sure that the game launched with flying mounts at all. See how this kind of weird little shrine up here. And eventually, if we hang around long enough, we'll see that there's critters down here. A little closer. Yeah, we got some... I've got all the mob names turned up, that's why. So these are like level 2 mobs, nothing big particularly. But if we go to... The idea with the quest chain is you start out in this central one, and then you move off to one of the side ones, or more than one of the side ones, as the case may be. Look at this guy, and see these are 3-dot mobs, which means they're level 11. They would be pretty tough for me at level 14. The Bard is not the most robust class in the game, that's for sure. There's a boss in here somewhere, or a mini-boss, that I actually have a quest to take down. And I've flown over it a couple times and have never actually managed to find him. You rent the mounts. This is what passes for flight paths in Vanguard, actually. Instead of taking a flight path where you get like this programmed route and you fly over a bunch of sterile territory, you rent a flying mount and can fly wherever you want, but you only get the flying mount for 5 minutes. And normally that's about enough time to get you maybe 3 chunks away. Maybe 3 chunks away. When the mount despawns, and it will after 5 minutes, I've got about 2 minutes left up here, you'll get a parachute buff that will parachute you gently to the ground. Really did a nice job with the flying mounts in this game. I love flying in Vanguard. I do not have a permanent flying mount on any character. They pretty much start at level 50 and are a giant task to actually get permanent flying mounts. The easiest one is actually the Pegasus. The Griffin is the hardest, and then there's the Wyvern. And rumor has it that since SOE has been giving away these veteran rewards every month for Vanguard subscribers, that a flying mount may be in the package deal before the game goes free to play. That wouldn't tremendously surprise me. I personally would... You know, I think it's kind of nice that you have to earn your flying mount and all that, but I'd love to have a flying mount that looks cool but isn't particularly fast. It's super useful in this game. If you're confined to hoofing it everywhere, it does take a long time, and there's some terrain that you have to navigate around, or will have a hard time navigating without a flying mount. So, plus there's, you know, this isn't the only place where there's something that's only accessible through flying either. And this will respawn after I wonder if I can get down. Nice how the bridge just flickered into existence there. I don't think there's an easy way to get down to the coast anywhere down here. You can actually sail, by the way, from continent to continent off the coast of Kojan. I'm right here at Jalen's Crossing, which is kind of this bridge between these two islands. There's a sea portal down here to Thestra, and somewhere down here there's another one that goes to Kalia. At one point, I'm not sure you can do this anymore or not, you used to be able to just sail north or south or wherever and get to the other continents. Something I'd love to try one of these days. kind of takes a galleon to do it, unfortunately, so that's kind of out of reach. The galleon is the third and largest ship type in Vanguard. As you may know, players can build their own ships through the crafting system. The sloop is the one that got given away with the loyalty rewards. It's the smallest of the three. That's this guy right here, and it's awesome to have. But you're kind of limited to shallow water too, so it's not incredibly versatile when it comes to sailing from continent to continent. So just a really great looking game. I just don't have enough good things to say about the way this game looks, and mostly sounds. I hacked on the voice acting a little bit, and it is really cheesy in the last video, but you know, the music in this game is just tremendous. The visuals are great. Character models are okay. Animations are okay. They're not the greatest examples in either case. Spell effects, again, are okay. They're not either the best or worst examples of spell and particle effects that you might see, but they're all that's reasonably decent, and the amount of stunning visuals. I've taken more screenshots in this game by far, I mean, it's not even close, than I have in any other game. Even games that I've spent comparatively far more time in. I think I've taken less than a dozen screenshots in quite a lot of playing World of Warcraft, for example. And that's not an ugly game particularly. But I never, came across something new and said, wow, that's cool. I want a screenshot of that. And I do that all the time in Vanguard. And I've been playing quite a while, and I've got a lot of characters, and I've seen all the continents, but there's still nooks and crannies that I haven't seen, that I encounter every couple of days. I'll see something new that I've never seen before. The details of the systems, you might complain that they're overcomplicated, and there's some truth to that, but there's some depth to this game too. I really hope that once it goes free to play, a lot of people who may have heard good things about Vanguard or favorable things about Vanguard, or who maybe tried it back right after launch when it was really, really buggy, and abandoned it for that reason, will give Vanguard a chance, or a second chance. It really is the game's last chance. Population's pretty low right now. Nobody kind of in the loop was really talking about cancellation, because the bar for that SOE sets is really, really low. But I mean, by any reasonable standard, the population of Vanguard not super healthy. This is kind of a major hub in the 10 to 15 level range, and I only saw one player down here. Admittedly, there's travel's easy enough that characters in this level range might decide that they might have more luck down in Kalia or up in Thestra or something like that. So there's no real reason why you'd have to hang around here. But I can't wait to see free-to-play come up, and to see these areas bustling with players again. To see that the quest objectives are contested again. I really like that. That's a feature that I really like. It's done relatively sensibly in Vanguard. You do mark mobs when you hit them, and mobs that are likely to be contested tend to respawn pretty fast. And certainly in the lower levels, there's not that many like named guys that don't respawn pretty quickly. You can easily go into a dungeon like Xaravi Gulch down in Kalia and never really, even if there's other guys down there. And I was actually in there just a couple of weeks ago, and there were 3 or 4 other people in there. And this is like a level 7 to 9 dungeon. Open world, of course. All Vanguard dungeons are open world, with the exception of Ancient Port Warehouse, where you do actually have to zone to get into it. Because it's sort of partially sharded. That's something I talked about in a different episode that I'm not going to get into anytime soon. I'm certainly nowhere near getting into Ancient Port Warehouse. That's one of the big endgame raid complexes. There's just a ton of stuff to do in there. And actually, you know what? While we're on that subject, we have InfoMap Advanced here, and let's see. Somewhere in here, there's a dungeon map. Oh, that's another thing that comes with InfoMap Advanced is a web browser. Looks like we're not bringing anything up at the moment, but there is a web browser on board. Let's see. I'm not sure how to find it, that's the thing. one of these is like a help window too. Here we go. Let's see here. Here's a map of Ancient Port Warehouse. So this thing's big. It's really big, and this, from my understanding, this doesn't even do it justice. Here's Nusibe Necropolis, which is another big end game or near end game dungeon type area. Also very huge. This is open world. It's completely open world. This is Halls of the Pantheon, which is kind of the last big raid thing that they did that was released. We have a new one, City of Brass, that should be coming whenever free-to-play launches, or somewhere around that time. This is actually really handy. This is actually like a little cheat sheet that tells you what the harvesting resources are. I have trouble keeping all these straight in a dozen different MMOs, so it's handy to have. We can turn on the... let's see here. I'll have a link to InfoMap Advanced's website on suresha.net in the notes below. And looks like the browser's not working right now. I'm not sure what the thing is with that. Civics, these are civic diplomacy. Basically, the way civic diplomacy works, and I talked about diplomacy at a previous episode, and as far as the nuts and bolts of how it works. Civic diplomacy are like, in the major settlements, there are NPCs that you can go talk to tweak these levers. They're called levers for civic diplomacy, and if you tweak a lever far enough, then everybody in the city gets a buff. And there's buffs for adventuring, buffs for crafting, buffs for diplomacy, and so on and so forth. These are like continent-wide buffs, and like these are actually area buffs. And here's the civic diplomacy buffs in Halls of the Pantheon. There's civic diplomacy in Ancient Port Warehouse. Yes, there is crafting related and diplomacy stuff in the raids. So that's kind of a neat feature. Another thing that comes with InfoMap Advanced is something called mini cards. You may recall from the diplomacy video how the diplomacy panel worked. In this case, this gives me. Looks like I've somehow managed. What diplomat level am I with this dude? Level 4. I think at level 4 you get 3 more cards. You start out with a 5-card diplomacy hand. I was just a little surprised to see 8 diplomacy slots. But the mini cards, actually, you can get InfoMap Advanced bundled with it, and it makes the cards considerably smaller, as you can see. And it lets you pull up the entire library of cards that you may have, so you can relatively easily go through it. And it makes the format a little bit easier to read. Mostly easier to read, actually. Something like this guy, this -2 on gut feeling, for example. I think that's kind of hard to read, but once you know what they do, it's not really a problem. And this is kind of handy. And there's also a gear switcher mod that I haven't really fooled with. You can save bundles of gear and then toggle between those gear loadouts, and that's actually kind of neat as well. So anyway, I've shown you about 3 times as much as I intended to, and the video is probably about 3 times longer than I planned on it being. So we'll call it for now. This is Ardwulf. In the notes below, you will find a link to my website at ardwulfslair.wordpress.com. You will also find links to us on social networking sites like Twitter, Google+, and Facebook. So follow us on those sites. Of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have more stuff coming. Despite what it may seem, we cover a whole bunch of stuff that's not Vanguard. It's just that Vanguard is kind of my main game right now, so I'm doing a lot of video from it, showing it off quite a bit. And I think it's a game that needs more exposure than it gets. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.